All right, today we are diving deep into a really provocative analysis that's been making some serious waves online. It gets into this controversial idea about a hidden instinct, one that the source claims is silently shaping human attraction in ways we don't even realize. So let's get right into it.
So right out of the gate, the source material hits us with an incredibly high-stakes claim. It's describing a force so powerful it can completely dismantle a person's life in the blink of an eye. This is the core idea we're going to be unpacking today, straight from the source's perspective.
Okay, so our first section gets into what the source calls the unsettling premise. This is where it really lays the groundwork, describing this archaic power that, it claims, operates completely beyond the rules of our modern logic.
And here's where the analysis breaks down what this instinct is all about. We're not just talking about a strong feeling here. No, it's framed as this overpowering force that can actually outweigh love, that just ignores our conscious values and operates completely beneath the surface, basically making huge life decisions for us without us even being aware of it.
Now, in this next section, the analysis makes a really bold argument. It says this isn't just some psychological theory up for debate. It's presented as a deeply ingrained biological program. Think of it like an ancient piece of survival software that's still running in the human mind.
And here we have the source's formal definition. Now, the crucial point here is its purpose. It's not about finding happiness or emotional compatibility. It's about the continuation of the bloodline. It's a program designed purely to seek out what it perceives as the absolute strongest genetic material for the next generation.
This right here really shows the central conflict that the analysis describes. You see, on one side, you've got the values our conscious mind is looking for in a partner. Things like stability and a real emotional connection. But on the other side, you've got this ancient code that, according to this viewpoint, prioritizes these raw, primal signals of strength, dominance, and survival. It's like a clash between two totally different operating systems.
So, the big question is, how does this ancient code actually take over? Well, this section introduces something called the biological override, which is the source's explanation for how this instinct can literally hijack the brain's higher functions.
Now, the source makes a really critical distinction here. The claim isn't that love just vanishes into thin air. It's that love, no matter how strong it is, can be temporarily rendered powerless. It gets sidelined by a much more urgent, much more primal biological command.
The analysis even proposes a specific chemical reason for this override. It puts the chemistry of love, which is driven by oxytocin and dopamine for that feeling of bonding, up against the instinct's chemical storm of norepinephrine and adrenaline. That's a cocktail designed to sharpen focus and ignite this overwhelming drive to act. And this metaphor from the source just captures that difference in timing and intensity perfectly. Love is presented as this gradual, warm process, like a slow fire. But this instinct? It's described as instantaneous, an absolute, non-negotiable event, a lightning strike that changes everything in a single moment.
And all of this brings us to the really profound psychological shift that the source claims happens next. It uses this term, emotional reframing, to describe how a person's entire perception of reality can be altered once this instinct gets triggered. This is a crystal clear example of that reframing in action. Just look at this. Qualities that were once seen as total virtues, stability, kindness, reliability, are suddenly reinterpreted as negatives. What felt safe now feels suffocating. What was loving now seems weak. It's a complete 180, a total inversion of values.
The source describes this as a systematic process happening in stages. First, memory gets altered. Then the focus narrows, so red flags in a new person are totally ignored. Then a kind of tunnel vision sets in where only this new desire matters. And finally, all of life's other priorities, career, home, promises, get restructured or devalued to make way for it. And here's the absolute kicker. The source really emphasizes this subjective experience. To the person who's going through this, it doesn't feel like they're being controlled by some biological program. It feels like they're finally seeing the truth, like an awakening, a moment of profound clarity about what they truly want.
This is maybe one of the most profound claims in the entire analysis. The idea that this process doesn't just change the future, it actively rewrites a person's perception of their own past. It alters the very story they tell themselves about their own life. So that brings us to our final section, which explores the specific triggers for this instinct and what the source suggests is the ultimate conclusion for understanding this unseen force.
So what are the keys that supposedly unlock this powerful mechanism? Well, the source claims it's not about looks or money, but about these deeply primal traits. Things like a powerful sense of presence, an unshaken calm under pressure, a kind of strength that doesn't need to be loud, and, fascinatingly, emotional unavailability, which is said to signal high value.
And this explains why, according to the source, trying to reason with someone in this state is completely futile. The argument is that the instinct's chemical storm takes the prefrontal cortex, our hub for rational thought, temporarily offline. You're trying to talk to a part of the brain that literally isn't listening.
And this brings us to the source's very metaphorical conclusion. The advice here isn't to fight this force, but to understand it. The idea is to stop pleading with the wind, to stop reasoning with the storm, and instead to embody a different, more grounded kind of strength. And we end with the philosophical question the source poses to all of us. It shifts the entire focus away from the dynamics of attraction to a much deeper internal question of self-mastery. It's a really provocative thought to end on, leaving us all to consider the implications of these powerful ideas.